Hello everyone, welcome once again to Diving Deep, and we are continuing in the Book of Numbers. The Book of Numbers is so deep, it's astounding, and unless you're willing to dig and dive, you'll never truly get the message of the book. We need the understanding of the Holy Spirit, and we must seek out understanding. The great things of God, the great treasures of God, must be sought out, like silver and precious stones. It says that in Proverbs too. But if you do seek it out, you'll find it. God promises that. Do you believe that? Do you believe that? No. If you truly believe that, guess what? You'll do it. You will seek it out. Anyway, we are in chapter 20. We are discussing the impending death of Aaron. God has already informed Aaron that he is about to die outside of the promised land, because he and Moses were disqualified for striking the rock instead of speaking to the rock. All right. We begin in verse 25 of chapter 20. Take Aaron and Eleazar his son, and bring them up to Mount Hor, and strip Aaron of all his garments, and put them on Eleazar his son, for Aaron shall be gathered to his people and die there. So Moses did just as the Lord commanded, and they went up to Mount Hor in the sight of all the congregation. Moses stripped Aaron of his garments and put them on Eleazar his son, and Aaron died there on top of the mountain. Then Moses and Eleazar came down from the mountain. Now when all the congregation saw that Aaron was dead, all the house of Israel mourned for Aaron 30 days. Yeah. I mean, from what it sounds like, Aaron is stripped of his clothes, and as soon as he does that, he just dies. Yeah. No big drama. He just dies. The Lord takes him. Yeah. He's now in the presence of God. But in any case, Eleazar, the mantle has been passed to Eleazar. He now has his father's position, and the Israelites continue. Verse 21, chapter 21. All right. The king of Arad, the Canaanite, who dwelt in the south, heard that Israel was coming on the road to Atharim. Then he fought against Israel and took some of them prisoners. So Israel made a vow to the Lord and said, "If you will indeed deliver this people into my hand, then I will utterly destroy their cities." And the Lord listened to the voice of Israel and delivered up the Canaanites, and they were utterly destroyed, and they utterly destroyed them and their cities, so that the name of that place was called Hormah. All right. Move to go forward. When Joshua led the Israelites into the promised land, God told them to totally destroy specific people groups. Some of them they did, but a few of them they didn't quite totally destroy. They didn't fulfill the command of God. And that lack of obedience to the command of God has had far-reaching consequences. Did you know that Hamas, they're located in an area, in a specific portion of the Gaza, that God had told the Israelites to completely wipe out? Told them to wipe out that people group, and they didn't do it? Well, the result is Hamas, enemies of Israel, who reside there to this day. I mean, this shows just how important it is to adhere to the fullness of the commands of God. That's definitely a lesson for me. There are times when I think I can just skate by. No, I can't. I'm realizing that now. Okay. All right. The bronze serpent. Verse 4. Then they journeyed from Mount Hor by the way of the Red Sea to go around the land of Eden. As they said, they weren't allowed passage through the land of Eden, so now they're going around it. And the soul of the people became very discouraged on the way, and the people spoke against God, against Moses. Why have you brought us out of Egypt to die in the wilderness? It's the same thing again. Why have you brought us out here? You think after 30-some years, they would have gotten over it by now. They would have accepted it, but they haven't. For there is no food and no water, and our soul loathes this worthless bread. Whoa. Did you catch that? Worthless bread, obviously talking about the manna from heaven. That's God's provision, and they just dismissed it as worthless. What a way to insult God. What a way to insult Him. So verse 6, so the Lord sent fiery serpents among the people, and they bit the people, and many of the people of Israel died. Therefore the people came to Moses and said, we have sinned, for we have spoken against the Lord and against you. Pray to the Lord that He take away the serpents from us. So Moses prayed for the people. Then the Lord said to Moses, make a fiery serpent, set it on a pole, and it shall be that everyone who is bitten, when he looks at it, shall live. So Moses made a bronze serpent and put it on a pole, and so it was. If a serpent had bitten anyone, when he looked at the bronze serpent, he lived. All right. Now, you read in the Gospels, Jesus says, just as Moses lifted up the bronze serpent, so must the Son of Man also be lifted up. So this is very significant. That right there tells you this is a signpost pointing to Jesus. But how does it point to Jesus? Well, first of all, consider what the serpent is. It's a cursed animal. The serpent was cursed in the Garden of Eden. Eden. Garden of Eden. And bronze represents judgment. You look back in Numbers chapter 16, verses 39 and 40. A bronze memorial was built to remember the rebellion of Korah and the judgment that came down upon it. So you have this material of judgment. You have this cursed reptile on a pole, and yet by looking at it, you receive healing. You are healed from the snake bites. Well, it says in the New Testament how when Jesus hung on the cross, He became sin. Jesus became the cursed object, and Jesus became the curse, and God judged the curse, and through that we receive healing. That's incredible, It's incredible, you know, how just the creativity of God in making another signpost. Another example pointing to Jesus Messiah. Okay, verse 10. Now the children of Israel moved on and camped in Oboth. And they journeyed from Oboth and camped at Abarim. I think that's how it's called, what it's called. In the wilderness which is east of Moab toward the sunrise. From there they moved and camped in the valley of Zered. From there they moved and camped on the other side of Arnon, which is the wilderness that extends from the border of the Amorites, for the Arnon is the border of Moab, between Moab and the Amorites. Therefore it is said in the book of the wars of the Lord. Okay. That, by the way, is an early collection of songs. Okay. Therefore it is said in the book of the wars of the Lord, Wahab in Supah, the brooks of the Arnon, and the slope of the brooks, that reaches to the dwelling of Ar, and lies on the border of Moab. From there they went to Beer, which is the well where the Lord said to Moses, Gather the people together, and I will give them water. Then Israel sang this song, Spring up, O well, all you sing to it. The well the leaders sank, dug by the nation's nobles, by the lawgiver with their staves. And from the wilderness they went to Matana, and from Matana to Nalael, and from Nalael to Bamoth, and from Bamoth in the valley that is the country of Moab to the top of Pisgah, which looks down upon the wasteland. All right. There is power in singing, apparently. Okay. Verse 21. Then Israel sent messengers to Sihon, king of the Amorites, saying, We will not burn aside, let me pass through your land. We will not turn aside into fields or vineyards. We will not drink water from the wells. It's really the same message given to the Edomites, and they got the same, they got the same answer. They would not allow Israel to pass through. So, skip down. So Sihon gathered all his people together and went out against Israel in the wilderness. And he came to Jahaz and fought against Israel. Then Israel defeated him with the edge of the sword and took possession of his land from the Arnon to the Jabbok, as far as the people of Ammon, for the border of the people of Ammon was fortified. So Israel took all these cities, and Israel dwelt in all the cities of the Amorites, in Heshbon and all of its villages. For Heshbon was the city of Sihon, king of the Amorites, who had fought against the former king of Moab, and taken all his land from his hand as far as the Arnon. Therefore those who speak in Proverbs say, Come to Heshbon, let it be built, let the city of Sihon be repaired. Now, same request, but this time a different result. Okay. We'll skip down to verse 31. Thus Israel dwelt in the land of the Amorites, that Moses sent to spy out Jazer, and they took out its villages and drove out the Amorites who were there. And then they turned and went up by the way to Bashan. So Og, king of Bashan, went out against them, he and all of his people, to battle at Edrei. And the Lord says to Moses, Do not fear him, for I have delivered him into your hand, with all of his people and his land, and you shall do to him as you did to Sihon, the king of the Amorites, who dwelt at Heshbon. So they defeated him, his sons, and all of his people, until there was no survivor left him, and they took possession of his land. Well, what I'm seeing here is that this generation, the unfaithful generation, is finally believing God. You know, they're finally doing what was commanded. They're doing what they should have done when they were on the border of the promised land. You know, they're going in there and they're fighting and they're believing that God has already delivered the enemy to them. And He had. God kept His word. You know, I guess they're finally gaining a bit of redemption here for themselves. You know, they still can't get access to the promised land again, but at least now, you know, they're believing God. Finally. All right, moving on to chapter 22. Now here we have the arrival of Balaam. Yes. Balaam, he's quite the character. So much so that he's referenced a number of times in the New Testament. So he sounds like somebody we should really get to know. And there is a lot to find out about him. All right, let's go. Chapter 22. Then the children of Israel moved and camped in the plains of Moab on the side of the Jordan across from Jericho. Now Balak, the son of Zippor, saw all that Israel had done to the Amorites, and Moab was exceedingly afraid of the people because they were many, and Moab was sick with dread because of the children of Israel. So Moab said to the elders of Midian, "Now this company will lick up everything around us as an ox licks up grass of the field." And Balak, the son of Zippor, was king of the Moabites at the time, and he sent messengers to Balaam, the son of Beor, at Pethor, which is near the river in the land of the sons of his people, to call him, saying, "Look, a people has come from Egypt. See, they cover the face of the earth, and they are settling next to me. Therefore, please come at once. Curse this people for me, for they are too mighty for me. Perhaps I shall be able to defeat them and drive them out of the land. For I know that him whom you bless is blessed, and him who you curse is cursed." So this is flattery. You know, this is Balak flattering Balaam to butter him up so that Balaam will do his bidding. Is Balaam that susceptible to man's praise? Well, let's have a look. Verse 7. So the elders of Moab and the elders of Midian departed with the diviner's fee in their hand, and they came to Balaam and spoke to him the words of Balak. And he said to them, "Lodge here tonight, and I will bring back word to you as the Lord speaks to me." So the princes of Moab stayed with Balaam. All right. So he's accepted the diviner's fee. Yeah. You know, and this was not a fee that a godly man should accept because it's tied to divination. And surely Balaam knew that, but he didn't care. He apparently has a love for money, a love for profits. You know, that's where his heart is, for the pursuit of money. And he'll take whatever money is given to him, even a diviner's fee. Even though God hates divination, he's going to accept this money. Okay. Verse 9. Then God came to Balaam and said, "Who are these men with you?" Okay, so God himself is coming to Balaam. So apparently Balaam has some kind of relationship with God. He knows God, so much so that they converse. And yet, even though they have a relationship, Balaam must not fear God very much, because he's really not adhering to the commands of God. You know, he's not being what a prophet should be, prophesying out of love for God and for others, not for the pursuit of money. Okay. All right. Verse 10, so Balaam said to God, Balak the son of Zippor, king of Moab, has sent me, saying, look, a people has come out of Egypt, and they cover the face of the earth. Come now and curse them for me. Perhaps I shall be able to overpower them and drive them out. And the God said to Balaam, you shall not go with them, you shall not curse the people, for they are blessed. So Balaam rose in the morning and said to the princes of Balak, go back to your land, for the Lord has refused to give me permission to go with you. Okay. So it seems Balaam is obeying the command of God this time. Continuing on, verse 14. And the princes of Moab rose and went to Balak and said, Balaam refuses to come with us. And Balak again sent princes more numerous and more honorable than they. And they came to Balaam and said to him, thus says Balak the son of Zippor, please let nothing hinder you from coming to me, for I will certainly honor you greatly, and I will do whatever you say to me. Therefore, please come, curse this people for them. And Balaam answered and said to the servants of Balak, if Balak were to give me his house full of silver and gold, I could not go beyond the word of my Lord, of the Lord my God, to do less or more. All right. Shall be noted, it says, though Balak were to give me his house full of silver and gold. You know, nowhere in that message did these messengers say that's what Balak was going to give him. You know, Balaam is just kind of assuming this. He's pulling it out of thin air. That just shows you where his mind is, where his heart is. It's on money. Okay? It's on profit. Okay? But Balaam continues, I could not go beyond the word of the Lord my God to do less or more. Now therefore, please, you also stay here tonight, that I may know what more the Lord will say to me. And God said to Balaam at night, and came to Balaam at night, and said to him, if the men come to call you, rise and go with them, but only the word which I speak to you that you shall do. So Balaam rose in the morning, saddled his donkey, and went with the princes of Moab. Now wait a second. It says, if the men come to call you, rise and go with them, but only the word which I speak to you. Did they come to call him? I mean, there's no mention of that happening. I mean, if I were to read this correctly, it sounds like he just, as soon as he rose up, he saddled his donkey and went to the princes of Moab. I mean, you can question, you know, well, maybe it happened and it just wasn't mentioned, but I would not make such an assumption. I really wouldn't. No, that's walking the line of adding to or taking away from the word, which you don't want to do. Continuing. Then God's anger was aroused because he went. Well, I guess we have our answer there. I guess they must not have come to call him. Okay. And the angel of the Lord took his stand in the way as an adversary against him. And he was riding on his donkey, and his two servants were with him. And the donkey saw the angel of the Lord standing in the way with his drawn sword in his hand, and the donkey turned aside out of the way and went into the field. So Balaam struck the donkey to turn her back onto the road. And the angel of the Lord stood in a narrow path between the vineyards, with a wall on this side and a wall on that side. When the donkey saw the angel of the Lord, she pushed herself against the wall and crushed Balaam's foot against the wall, so he struck her again. Then the angel of the Lord went further and stood in a narrow place where there was no way to turn either to the right or to the left. And when the donkey saw the angel of the Lord, she lay down under Balaam. So Balaam's anger was aroused, and he struck the donkey with his staff. All right. The donkey can see the angel of the Lord. This fleshly animal, this donkey can see the angel of the Lord, but Balaam apparently can't. It shouldn't be this way. You know, Balaam, he's the prophet. You know, he should be able to see into the spirit. I mean, he should be able to see things that the donkey can't see, but it's the other way around. Now so that should tell us that by going against the command of God, being in disobedience to Him, can have an effect on your spiritual senses. You know, Jesus says, "For those who have eyes to see, let them see. For those who have ears to hear, let them hear." I believe he was talking about spiritual eyes, spiritual ears. You know, can you see folks who can see into the spirit realm, into the supernatural, who can hear the voice of the Lord? You know, I believe those are the senses that God is talking about. But he also says, for those who have eyes to see, meaning there are those who don't have eyes and those who don't have ears. Well, Balaam, maybe he did once have eyes to see, but now he doesn't. All right. All right. Verse 28. Then the Lord opened the mouth of the donkey, and she said to Balaam, "What have I done to you that you have struck me these 3 times?" And Balaam said to the donkey, "Because you have abused me, I wish there were a sword in my hand, for now I would kill you." Balaam is conversing with his donkey. I mean, shouldn't he be saying something like, "You can't be talking, you're a donkey"? But no. For whatever reason, Balaam is seeing this as natural. You know, just something that's natural, and it's not. I don't know why he's responding this way, but he did. So verse 30, the donkey said to Balaam, "Am I not your donkey on which you have ridden ever since I became yours to this day? Was I ever disposed to do this to you?" And he said, "No." Arguing with a donkey. This is insane. But you know, God is not normal. He just isn't. All right, well, that concludes today's session. Thank you for joining us. And we'll pick up in Numbers 22 next time. Until then.